YouTube, what's up? Today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to lay track. This applies to any scale, any brand, and this is just some general basics for track laying. First thing you want to do is determine where you want your track. Once you have the track laid out, for this area it's just going to be, I'm just making a passing siding here, and I'm just laying out the roadbed. I don't have the track yet. But when you have your track, go ahead, or template even, just lay it out, mark where the track position, and once you're done with that, start cutting your pieces of roadbed. So for my roadbed here, I'm using scrap pieces. Other than that, it'd be a long line roadbed like this right here. You can buy them in rolls, and what I use, let's see, do I have any down here? I don't have the box, but it is Woodland Scenics N-Scale Foam Roadbed. It's much better than cork roadbed in my opinion. I've used both. This is very flexible. It reduces sound, and it's also a lot easier to cut and apply, especially for curves. If you're doing a curve section, what you want to do is, camera may not be able to see this. Okay, you can. There's that little line down the middle. These two come into two different sections. So, as right here, you glue your inside one first, then you glue your outside piece. If you don't do that, you're going to have a lot of wrinkles in your track layout. And even for here, I only had to use one piece, one half of the track section, just because that was a double curve. So these are a bit oversized, so there is quite a bit of margin for error when you're laying it down. So now I'm going to pin the rest of my sections down, and I'll get back. Okay, so now that we have all the pieces cut, you always want to dry fit them, unless they're a curve, because you can't really do that unless you pin it down. For wood, what I do, if you're using styrofoam, they're a lot easier, but if not, you can always use it on plywood. Woodland Scenics T-pins, these are 100% completely reusable. I think it's like $8 or $9 for a pack of 100 or 50 or something like that. Very useful. It's a must-have. For driving them into wood, I use a small hammer, not a full-size one, as you can see. I use this for my track nails also. And you can always just hammer it down. You make sure that you do it on the head. If not, you're going to get bent pins, and eventually they're going to start looking like that. So you always want to make sure you hammer straight down, and that will secure it, and that's all you need to hold it down. It'll do its job. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the pins off. Now that I've dry fitted them, those are just to keep them in place. I'm going to glue it, and then I'm going to put the T-pins back in. Okay, so as you see here, I've got my roadbed pinned down. The glue that I used with this is because I've had to tear up so many sections, and it does make it reusable. It's great. I haven't had a single problem with it. Very flexible if you want to change things around a little bit. As you can see when I redid this section here, that right there is where the old track bed used to be. And I would have wasted about a good $9 if I couldn't get it off. And I also would have ruined the 2x4s that it was laid on. I would definitely recommend just Elmer's glue. It works fine. I mean, you probably have it laying around the house too, so it's not like you have to go out and buy anything else. It works very good. I've never had a problem with it. If you ever want to take something up, it's extremely easy. And the only thing it may leave behind is a few little edge pieces like that, which you can just take a file or a piece of sandpaper, whatever, and yeah, it'll sand right off. If you have a lot of it, you can use a palm sander, but I don't think you'd have to go that far. So, The next step in this is really just to wait for it to dry. I'm only going to be putting up a section to here because I'm going to need more track to put the other switch and the turnout that goes here. So I will be laying some track, but not the entire length of this section right here. So when this is dried, I'll get back on and I'll show you how to lay down the track. Okay, so now that I have my roadbed laid down, the next step that you're going to want to take is going to be getting the track that you need. In this case, for this passing siding, I'm going to be using a 3 1/4 inch radius curve, 5-inch sectional straight track, and for demonstration purposes, a piece of flex track. I'm going to be showing you how to nail these down, connect them properly, and also, with the flex track, how to cut flex track, and to make it usable. Okay, so this probably took me a few seconds here, not long at all. I've laid down my track, and for this specific radius on a number 6 curve, I'm going to have this gap here, which in a later part of the video, which will probably be a part 2 because I'm using quite a bit of time here, I will be showing you how to fix gaps like that in your track using a soldering iron. It doesn't take much skill, and it dramatically increases the effectiveness of it. I've got this section right here that needs to be soldered in. Whenever the train goes by, the front pilot will derail, and to eliminate that problem, all I'm going to have to do is solder in that gap. So, as of this right here, I've laid out my track. As you can see, all my rail joiners have been put in securely, very tightly, not loosely. You want to minimize as many gaps that you have to solder. So now, I'm going to be using these nails. You can pick these up at any model, any hobby shop. These are Model Power small nails. I'll give you a size comparison to a finger here. So they're pretty small. You'll probably pick nails up at a Home Depot or any hardware store that you have locally. They should have it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to hammer them in, and I'm going to probably take a couple takes because I'm going to try to videotape myself doing it. Okay, so as you can see, our track has been all put together now, and what I'm using to secure the track down to the board is this small hammer right here. You can use any type of hammer. Small is preferred so you can get controlled strikes. And also something that will fit in between the rails that will be able to drive the spike head down fully flush with the tie. So the first thing, once you have your track laid out everywhere that you want it, you can do this in small sections or one section at a time. That's what I usually do. So I'm just going to put this nail in right here, and using the hammer and this, we'll drive it down straight. Okay, so as you can see here, or possibly see, you're looking at that right there, it's down flush, and if you look at the profile, it's not pushed down. If you get track that's pushed down, it's really no good, because then your trains, instead of just going flush across, will start going like that, and it causes your trains to uncouple. Okay, you can see it much better now. As you can see, for each straight piece, I put in a nail at the beginning and at the end. Now the reason I do this at each one is because, as you can see, the tracks are both level, and if you do put one in the middle and one in the other middle, those two will be depressed, causing this rail joint to be pushed upwards. Now what that's going to do is you're going to have derailments, or your cars will uncouple, just about every segment of track piece. So, the reason why I stopped here is because the next thing I'm going to be laying is this straight piece of flex track here. Now, you don't really need any special tools. What I use for cutting my flex track, I just keep in one simple drawer. I use any sharp, I guess you'd call these like V-joint pliers or whatever, cutting edge pliers. As you can see, these aren't new, they're rusted. They work as long as it's sharp. The other thing I use, which you can use that tool also for, I just don't want to dull the blades, is just another one. These happen to be a bit more dull, and these are going to be for tearing the ties off. So, first thing you want to do is determine what you need to cut off. Now this one's already been cut, so you can see that there's still some access rail showing there, and there's not a lot showing there. For curves, once you have your track bed laid out, you always want to curve the track. As you can see here, if I curve the track this way, not even, but I still have some hanging off there and off there. And it could be more or less, or it could turn out perfect depending on how sharp the radius curve is or where it's being nailed down. So, in this case, I'm just using straight track. So, I'm going to want to make both of these rails level, about the closest I can get on the same side. And now, because this is the fixed rail, I'm going to make this one adjacent to that, and I'll be cutting this rail to be parallel to the end of the other rail. Now I'll do that, I'll come back, and then I'll show you how to cut the ties.